Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Once again, the focus is Maui, and really these videos are an SOS to humanity, what we need to wake up to, what the American government really is, or better yet, who really controls the American government. Is it the people and the voting systems and the politicians who get in there, or is it something else? What we're going to focus on this time and trying to wake people up to the agenda that is very real, that needs to be stopped in its tracks, and it can be if enough people are aware and willing to do something about it. Again, that's the other point of these videos, to get people to act. That's why we've been out pounding pavement across the nation, bringing people together to enlighten about these exact type of events right here, what's now become Maui. But anyhow, the focus here is why Joe Biden was in Maui and he waited 13 days until August 21st to speak on this on Hawaii's birthday. Doesn't that seem ritualistic to speak on Hawaii's 64th birthday, to wait 13 days in the land of the 13 stripes that began with 13 colonies, where we get 13 years of public education, where we spend a lot of our lives in there, but learn a relatively small amount of information about actual history. Like there's no mention of the secret societies and the part they played in the founding of the nation, which is real history. It's why Washington, D.C. is known as the Masonic City and home to the Jesuits. But why did Joe Biden wait until Hawaii's 64th birthday? Of course, if you've been following my work, you sort of know the answer to this, but I realized I needed to look deeper into this. Because again, 64 is a special number. There's 64 spaces on the chessboard. And if you didn't know this, but International Chess Day, it's the 201st day of each year. And we're going to get to how Joe Biden was born 201 months and 1 day before Hawaii became a state. And again, what the meaning of that number 201 is. If you're new here, I've been working on a book for the last 3 years that's focused on the number 201 and what the meaning of that number is to a gang that has hijacked this nation long ago. And again, we're going to get into all of it, but again, here's the numbers we're going to focus on in this video. And we're going to see how it all comes together through chess, and how it goes back through secret societies that should be in the His Story books. A lot of things get left out of the His Story. And we'll talk about why Joe Biden compared Maui to his Corvette as well. It was more than a senile moment. It was part of the script. But again, the numbers. We're going to talk about 201, why it matters that Joe Biden was born 201 months before Hawaii became a state, why Joe Biden's there on the 64th birthday of Hawaii, and where these numbers go back to in 1893, when the Committee of 13 wrongfully overthrew Hawaii, which began the process of it becoming an American state, which was finalized, at least per the United States, on August 21st, 1959. Again, 64 years ago from yesterday. If you're new here, something you have to know about this channel: we look at dates, numbers, rituals, patterns, and what cements that these things are not a coincidence is gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, going back to Babylon. As we'll discuss, Joe Biden, you take the alphabetic order, A's 1 up to Z's 26, Joe, J's the 10th letter, O's the 15th, E's the 5th. So Joe is 30. And then Biden, B's the 2nd letter, I's the 9th, D's the 4th, E's the 5th, N's the 14th. You add up the letters of Biden, it equals 34. So Joe's 30, Biden's 34, 30 plus 34, 64. There's calculators online that'll do this for you in real time. Derek came along in 2016, 3 years into me doing this work, and put out this at the very end of 2016, beginning of 2017. But notice the gematria of Joe Biden with the alphabetic order 64. Notice if you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Joe Biden's 152. And remember, the first President's Day for number 46, who was elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday when the last Catholic president was killed at age 46, the first President's Day for Joe Biden fell on the 46th day of the year, February 15th, the 15th day of the second month, 152. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Joe Biden's 152. We were talking about how perfect that was Not to mention we called it a year in advance why he'd be number 46 when there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament and Catholic equals 46. But anyway, Joe Biden 64, 152 with reverse. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, Joe Biden's 44, like he was VP to number 44, Obama, who's from Hawaii. And remember, Barack Hussein Obama, his full name. Gematria of 64 as well, just like the word civil rights is 64. The Civil Rights Act in 64. Obama elected number 44, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64. 44 years later from 64, number 44. The word hope is 44 and 64, and so is Maui. And I'm just bringing it full circle. You know, that number ritual back then, getting people's hopes up. Mostly people's hopes were let down by Obama, who continued the wars, accelerated them after the Democratic Party had won the House, Senate, and Oval Office. And a lot of it was campaigning on ending the wars, which only escalated. And by the way, you might notice that Maui and Kill are the exact same in every cipher. And again, it happened to Maui 28 days after Josh Green was at the United Nations talking about Hawaii's green new future, and where this is synced up with Moana and The Rock, as we've discussed, where she's got the green gemstone to restore the island green that's dying. But anyway, not to get off track, again, the numbers we really want to focus on are 201, 64, 13. Those numbers, secret societies, real history, recurring numerical patterns, and again, who's really running the nation. Now remember, the Illuminati, which was founded as and renamed as Order of Illuminati, has the gematria of 201. And Adam Weishaupt, the founder, he died in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. But again, Adam Weishaupt was Jesuit trained, a Jewish man, like Josh Green, where this knowledge of letters and numbers, it's mostly today remembered by people of the Jewish faith because gematria is still a part of their overall spirituality. A lot of Jews don't subscribe to gematria, but it's part of their culture and understanding because Hebrew, what the Old Testament is written in, as well as Aramaic, related languages, every letter is a number in Hebrew. There's 22 letters. Every letter is a number. But again, Order of Illuminati 201. The Jesuit Order is 201. Again, founded by... The Jesuit Order was founded by Ignatius of Loyola, who was a Jew who converted to Catholicism. Ignatius of Loyola is 201, just like the Jesuit Order, like Order of Illuminati, again, founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. Again, this is a huge number with the Illuminati, and right now we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Jorge Mario Bergoglio. That's Pope Francis, whose name equals 201, who's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Pope Francis, the Jesuits were created in France. The chess day that happens on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, that started in France, in Paris, where the Jesuits are from. Playing chess from the Illuminati's establishment to America's establishment, 64 days later, May 1st to July 4th, 64 days later. But anyway, again, Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, 201. If you're new here, this isn't just some attack on Biden and Barack Obama. I've been talking all year about why Donald Trump had his wife die in the huge Jesuit ritual last year, synced up with the Jesuit Ignatian year, and then only for her to be buried on the 201st day of the year. Again, the same day that's chess day. Donald Trump's Jesuit educated. Joe Biden's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, home of the hit show The Office, which ran 201 episodes. Donald Trump and The Apprentice, the first degree of Freemasonry, which equals 58, like he wins the 58th election. Then Biden and Scranton in The Office, when you think of the Oval Office with the presidency. But as we've been talking about, Joe Biden, he sacrificed his wife and daughter in 201 rituals. His wife and daughter died on Limestone Road, Joe Biden, right after he became senator-elect, when his federal career was beginning. Limestone Road, his wife and daughter die on, 201. And again, notice how Great Pyramid of Giza is 201, and it's made out of limestone. We're thinking Illuminati here, symbolism. And look up the Great Pyramid of Giza and look at how many remaining layers of stone there are. They say there's 201 remaining layers of stone. Well, did somebody take away the top layers for the symbolism because they venerate this number? Again, in Hebrew, this number relates to the number 201, and I learned that from an author who has a book called Sefer Sapphires, where he says he uses the pen name Wade Coleman. Wade Coleman is 201. As he says in the book, the number 201 in Hebrew relates to light, illuminated, order of Illuminati. Look, with regards to Biden, because we're coming back to the Hawaii thing and how they're born 201 months apart, the former leader of Georgetown, Jesuit priest, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, again, he did the funeral for Beau Biden, who died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. Beau Biden died. You see how Illuminati is 150? 150. They say the sun, which illuminates the world, again, the Catholic Church, Jesuits, Illuminati, it all goes back to the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic Church began as a sun cult, and we'll talk more about that with Biden's ritual in Hawaii, just how layered and perfect all of this is, how undeniable this is if presented correctly to the right audience. And I don't know if I'm doing this video. Some videos I do better than others. But again, the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. Beau Biden died on the 150th day of the year. 201 days from the Pope's birthday. Order of Illuminati. Again, 201. The Pope's name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio. 201. Whoops. Let me spell it right. Bergoglio, 201. Man, if you guys have not seen my warning for Jordan in this upcoming season while he's 60 years old, if you have not seen that, I was just doing more research on Jordan. I couldn't believe it was all in the news that he was in Italy on July 6th, 201 days after the Pope's birthday. Again, Kobe died at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. Not to get onto another number, but of course, Kobe Bryant, 41, like Moses Malone. Again, Exodus 4:1, the beginning of the story where Moses' staff gets turned into a snake. Moses dead 4 years before Kobe in his retirement season. Jordan's going to be, this upcoming season is going to be 4 seasons since Kobe. Exodus 4. Anyway, Moses Malone, Moses in the Bible, sees the promised land from Jordan. Anyway, that's another video. We're getting off topic, but again, it's all Illuminati and it's all Jesuit. But anyway, 201, okay? Beau Biden dead at 46, 201 days from the Pope's birthday. Here, if you got to see it with your own eyes. I've been talking about these things in a million videos for years now. We're just putting it more and more together as this happens. And again, you have to understand, I've been working on this book for 3 years and just watching things like this happen. Because my 201 book covers weather, warfare. Here, look at the Jesuit order and look at weather control. And again, the first act of weather warfare was admitted to on August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday, 1952. We've been covering all the million Jesuit rituals with weather. Again, the Jesuits claim to have influence with nations and militaries in 112 countries. Like 1 + 1 is 2, like Catholicism's 112. But anyway, weather control, the Jesuit order. You see how it's the same in 3 out of the 4, and there's that 201 again? And again, Hawaii just got wrecked on the 353rd day of its age, the 71st prime, and then the governor was speaking on the 71st birthday of the Jesuits about how he was compared it to 9/11, where 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, ground zero, how people are unidentifiable, other stories in the headlines that day. I don't know if Josh Green said himself or it was just the other people they had on. Other people were referencing the victims looking like Pompeii, which was a volcano. Burns a lot hotter than a forest fire in Italy, where Michael Jordan was 201 days after the Pope's birthday with his Ferrari-like trophy wife, who's also Italian, whose name equals Jesuit order in Gematria. Remember Kobe, man, he had that affair in the 38th state, Colorado 38, but just like murder, killing, death. And then he died exactly 38 weeks after his birthday. Anyway, don't forget how they buried Kobe in Corona Del Mar and they declared the pandemic 201 days after his last birthday, which will be tomorrow, or at least it's birthday anniversary tomorrow. He would have turned 45 years old tomorrow, August 23rd, like Jordan wore 45 for a minute. But yeah, isn't it amazing that Biden was born November 20th, 1942, 201 months before Hawaii, August 21st, 59. And then again, Joe Biden, Mr. 64, is there on the 64th birthday. When 201 goes with the Illuminati, which was founded 64 days before this nation, and now Joe Biden, this career politician by the numbers. Again, you guys remember when Trump said he'd done more in 47 months than Biden had done in 47 years. Understand, Trump's a Jesuit too. That's why he's doing the Jesuit rituals. He went to Fordham. It's why The Office is 201 episodes. These people aren't playing with the number. It's why the moon landing, which is illuminated by the suns on the 201st day of the year, credited to Neil Alden Armstrong, that moon landing, 201. But again, Biden in D.C. for 47 years before being president. He was the 47th VP. He took office with 47-year-old Obama, who said he was Simba. And the actor for Simba, or who did the voice, died the day after Obama's birthday this year at age 47. But again, President 47, like White House, like government, like authority, like time, like Vatican, like how the Vatican's birthday is 211, the 47th prime, like how the tropics of this earth are 47 degrees apart. Again, the ultimate authority is time. The Catholic Church, the Vatican, who's aware of this code, who got this knowledge back from the Templars and the Crusades. Again, they're in control of this time. We're on their calendar. We're living out their rituals. You guys remember Event 201 was the simulation put on by a bunch of Jesuits simulating a coronavirus pandemic shortly before it happened. They did it October 18th, 2019, the day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, and those military World Games began in Italy and were credited to the Jesuits. That's why they began in 95, like the Jesuits' original purpose was to counter the 95 Theses, just like how Maui burned up 95 days before the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits. But coronavirus 56, just remember how important this number was with that pandemic. And it also goes with the tech meeting being the 56th meeting this year in Hawaii before it all burned up. Again, this number fits in with natural disaster, hurricane, The Rock. Moana's the 56th Disney film. The Rock is Moana, or he's Maui, the Polynesian fire god. And again, Polynesia, better look out. August 26th, we're watching out for. Doesn't have to be that day, but if you've missed all the work on Maui and where it fits in with Polynesia and the Rock and him playing the king and history in a very numerical pattern that's super deadly, going all the way back to Pearl Harbor through 9/11 up to the present. Again, that number is 127, and August 26th leaves 127 days left in the year. But anyway, I'm just talking about this 56 thing now. There's so many things to talk about because there's so many layers to these rituals. When you learn this language, you see just what they're doing. But again, 56. It is the number of the Jesuits. It's in the nation's capital, where the Jesuits have been for longer than the feds. It's in the names of their top agents, like Anthony Fauci, who's the face of COVID, and Gavin Newsom, who's also 56, like Anthony Fauci, who locked down California, saying 56% are going to get it in 8 weeks. And again, 2020, when all that was happening, was 56 years after Donald Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64. Get it? Again, just like Obama, who's the first Democratic president since the last Jesuit one, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton factors into this, and Hurricane Hillary declared an emergency by Jesuit Gavin Newsom. See how Gavin Newsom's 52 and 56, just like Hurricane? Again, Gavin Newsom's literally declaring an emergency for Hurricane Hillary 52 days before his 56th birthday on Bill Clinton's birthday, August 19th. And again, they said it was going to be the worst storm of its, or a storm like, first storm of its kind like that in 84 years, and it was declared 84 days before the Superior General's birthday, when United States of America and Superior General and the Jesuit Order and even Jesuit itself are all 84. But anyway, these numbers, these rituals, this is how you can see through the agents. This is how you can see through the planning. You can see that we're living out a plan. These people were on their calendar. We're on their language system, operating it within the knowledge they have that they've found has real power and relevance in the world. Again, you have to think about why they're doing this. The Templars brought back all this sacred spiritual knowledge, which includes this. This comes from Kabbalah. Gematria comes from Kabbalah. It's part of the biblical understanding through the Hebrew language and the other Jewish-related texts outside of just the Torah and the Old Testament. The founder of the Jesuits died in 1556, 84 days before his birthday, Anyway, this number, omnipresent in their rituals. And it's just like the Astros, the Harvey flooding ritual. Matt Harvey pitching in Houston 52 days before the World Series. First visiting pitcher in Houston after the flooding of Harvey was Matt Harvey, who was used in a huge ritual in the World Series in the 111th. Anyways, too much to explain, but again, the Astros win their first World Series after the flooding of Harvey in their 56th season. And again, they beat LA, who was on fire, like water puts out fires. All of this stuff is not arbitrary. It's all connected because it's all being controlled and scripted with the thing that controls the power in this world. And what is the power in this world? It's money, it's media, it's the establishment of authority, like the church and government. And again, the original European government is the Catholic Church. So, okay, there's other numbers to talk about, but 201, we've covered well. 64, we've covered relatively well. Again, it's in Maui, it's in Kill, it's in the spaces in the chessboard. We're talking about a death cult operating with occult knowledge that does kill to get its way. Again, that's what power is. Again, because of their power, they control the things that control our minds, like the horrible news. I mean, you guys, if the news media right now wanted to get people thinking about, was there something more sinister that happened in Maui, because they could be having people come on and say, well, it really doesn't make sense how all that still's melted. Still does begin to melt in 2,500 degrees, whereas a typical forest fire, like in a roaring thick forest, reaches a pinnacle temperature of about 1,400 degrees. That'd be more like in a place with a lush environment that really catches on fire. Maui, I mean, they have trees, but the downtown that burned down, I mean, look at the old pictures of it. It's not like there's dense trees everywhere. So how did this happen? How did this forest fire burn over 1,000 degrees hotter than a typical forest fire or wildfire, whatever you want to call it? The winds would spread the fire, but they wouldn't necessarily come anywhere near boosting the temperature an extra 1,000 degrees. Corvettes, those are red hot. But yeah, also, you guys, the 13 piece. Again, when Hawaii was overthrown in 1893, the coup d'etat was blamed on something known as the Committee of 13. Okay, this began the foundation for the American full takeover. And again, 13 colonies to begin the U.S., 13 stripes on the flag, 13 years of public school. And before America was the founding of the Illuminati, again, May 1st, 1776, 64 days before the U.S., but founded with 13 families. 13. And, just people should know this because it is important. When you write out 13, it's 99. And when you write out the United States of America with a the in the front, it's 99. And it was named that on September 9th. If you drop the, United States of America is 132. From the founding of the Illuminati to the naming of the U.S., September 9th, is a span of 132 days. And Hawaii is the 50th and final state. August 21st leaves 132 days left in the year, going with the 132 rooms at the White House. And it also goes with all the Roman architecture, because Catholic Church is 132, and so is Roman Catholic. And again, another big Catholic outpost in history is England, which is also 132. And the number goes on. But again, the numbers are the language, the calendar, it's all synced up. So, Illuminati history, American history, Jesuit history. Again, how big 201 is. Again, Biden, November 20th, 1942. Hawaii, August 21st, 59, 201 months and a day later. Joe Biden from Scranton. Interstate 81 goes through Scranton, like you got 81 million votes, like President Biden and President Trump both equal 81. Like Obama, a few years before Biden became president, endorsed 81 candidates on 8-1. August 1st, Urban Meyer got in big 81 trouble that day. But yeah, Scranton, Biden's hometown, where The Office did run 201 episodes. One of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities is in Scranton. You see the Jesuit prep school flag in nearly every episode of The Office that's in Scranton. And let's not forget when Biden and Putin met on Pearl Harbor Day to try and avoid World War III with Russia-Ukraine. They did that on December 7th, 2021, and it was the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, which had began May 20th, 2021, 201 days earlier. And it began on that day because it was the 500th anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. And Ignatius Loyola, again, 201. 201. 231 in reverse, like 23/1 Georgetown, the first Jesuit university establishment date. 75 like Catholic Church, like New World Order, which also matches Jesuit order. 87 like the Catholic Church. I mean, this system is cleverly thought out. But 201, the number that connects to light, to Illuminati, to these rituals over and over. Again, in a leap year, Barack's birthday is on the 201st day of Michelle's age. And remember what happened in the leap year in 2020? Beirut blew up on the 201st day of Michelle's age. Like the Beirut barracks blast, but this time it was Barack. And again, his birthday is 8/4, like the Jesuit order is 201 and 84. Now it's this with Biden. Again, Illuminati to July 4th, 64 days. Joe Biden, 64. On Hawaii's 64th birthday, he's there. 64 spaces on the chessboard. Chess Day is July 20th, International Chess Day, which began in Paris, France, the home of the Jesuits. The 201st day of the year. The moon landing, illuminated by the sun. Heliocentrism. The model that says the sun is at the center. You know, we're all orbiting around the sun. That was established in the 16th century. At the time of the Jesuit establishment, at the time of the Gregorian calendar establishment, which is named after the Pope, which has the 52-week year like Pope's 52, which is a sun-based calendar. And you also have, at the end of the 16th century, at the time of the calendar, English standardized as a 26-letter alphabet. And notice how heliocentrism is 150 as well, just like Illuminati. Like the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. Order of Illuminati is 93, as well as 201. Like how the sun's 93 million miles away on average. But heliocentrism, the measurements, again, getting pretty sophisticated in society in 16th century. We look back at that and it seems so old and antiquated now because of where we are, but I mean, they were pretty advanced people back then. They could build amazing things, had good technology, had very sophisticated military capability. I mean, it was a time that, you know, the world was getting changed. People are coming through with gunpowder and cannons. We got the black dust. We can conquer the world. But yeah, this 201 thing. Again, I've been working on this book for a long time and trying to get it just right and condensed enough. And it's funny. I think the book I've been trying to write on 201 because it's so information packed. My problem, I've written a lot of material that could have been put out as a book a long, long time ago. I've read a lot of it over the years in these live streams, but it just always felt like it got too long, too wordy, too much. And I almost feel like what I've been trying to teach about 201, it might be best taught through what's just happened with Maui. Again, you know, The Rock, looking at how his grandfather got him in show business, and he died on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. 41 years before this tragedy in Hawaii that's compared to Pearl Harbor that happened back in 41. Again, USA equals 41. 41's the 13th prime. The Rock married to his recent wife in the huge Illuminati ritual which we covered then, and now the numerous things since up to now. Again, The Rock is so central to all this. And the flooding of Maui, March 8th, 2021, is directly connected to the fire, and they're both connected through his character, Maui, this weather-gone Polynesian culture. Isn't it crazy how Polynesia's 127, and Rocky Mayavi is 127, and Pearl Harbor was on 12/7, and the new Pearl Harbor in New York was buildings 1, 2, and 7, and then Josh Green was just in New York before the fires on 12/7. Like the address of the only Catholic church standing, established in 46 at the street address 712, which is the day Josh Green was just in New York, the site of the new Pearl Harbor, and again, is also the way Pearl Harbor Day can be written, the 7th day of the 12th month, December 7th. Again, the day that Biden met with Putin to try and stop World War III when Hawaii was secured for military purposes. You know, I never want to spread fear with this knowledge, but I do say you should live with awareness. And if it scares you being aware, you'll get over that. And you'll realize one day it's better to be aware. It's better to be aware of what's going on, even if it scares you at first, because then you have a better sense of perspective. You know what time it is. If something happens shocking that you could have never fathomed before, now you're more prepared for it. Again, don't live in fear, but just live, understanding who's controlling this world and what could come next. This Illuminati Jesuit cabal. Remember, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030 concluded on the history of the anniversary of the Jesuit order's establishment with the Catholic Church, September 27th. Again, the day leaving 95 days left in there to counter the 95 Theses. And the Agenda 2030 conference in New York ended that day. It was Obama's 54th day of being 54 years old, which is interesting because Jesuit order's 54, and so is sun, and they're a sun cult. The Jesuit logo's the sun. Rituals and time, like we're talking about, like time's the ultimate authority. Yeah, and again, I almost want to go off on another tangent about why this happened after Obama's 62nd birthday, but you know what? We've been covering 62 and weather warfare for a long time and in recent videos, so go back and find it. If you haven't read my books, my first book, Letters and Numbers, the chapter on weather warfare, it starts with the Jesuit order's birthday in 62. Only for this to happen right after Obama. Turning 62 4 days later. 4, number of death and destruction, like how the last episode of Dora was August 9th, 2019, 4 years today of Maui taking over. Again, Maui burned on August 8th and August 9th. We know where August 9th goes with the Jesuits as well. These people, so redundant. But yeah, the books I've been working on, is I just look at it, you know, the written material, I'm like, God, all this is fact. It's just so easy to just insert Hawaii in here. But I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, I think just through explaining the key points about Hawaii, I can cover every base I was trying to cover. Even the Civil War piece in 201. You know, there again, The Rock, who's going to portray the king, the Hawaiian king when he's Polynesian. Again, Polynesia equals 127, like Rocky Maivia, and he declared the new Moana film 127 days before the fire. And by the way, his grandfather, who died on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, all of his tattoos for his grandfather are the way they put the tattoos on the Maui character in the Moana Disney film. Think about that. And think about Walter Elias Disney, 201, and Walt Disney World being off exit 201, and Walt Disney World equaling 201, and the relationship between Disney and his brother in 201. And how he's De Molay, which is Knights Templar, and the Templar cross in the middle of the Jesuit logo. All goes back to the Catholic Church. But yeah, Committee of 13, 13 days later, 13 in Illuminati, history of this nation. I hope we're making it clear enough. Also interesting, the name Committee of 13 equals 223, like natural disaster. Like on the 223rd day of this year was August 11th, the anniversary of the HARP patent. And the focus was how Lahaina was completely destroyed. HARP, something that can target energy. The word energy equals 88, like weapon, like lasers. Biden said we were laser focused. The fire started on 8/8. It missed Dora's house. The fire spread, blamed on the winds of Dora. The last time Dora was super significant was in 1964. The Dora creator turned 64 this year. The hurricane and the fire began on his 97th day of his age when hurricane equals 97. And then that gets us into a whole nother spiral with Jay-Z and Hawaiian Sophie and Kanye West and Obama and the Chicago connection and the Chicago Great Fire that started at the address 137 when Hawaii's got 137 islands. 8 big ones to go with 8/8. The day in history that it was made the 808 area code, like the 808 drum machine in hip-hop for the 50th state, burning up in the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. Kanye, 808s and heartbreak. Anyway, the beginning of the festivities with the Committee of 13. The Committee of 13 was January 15th. And from that day to the fire start was 205 days later. Fire's 25. And August 9th, the day that it took over the news and the day the fire was mostly done doing its damage, was 206 days later. The sacrifice number, 206 bones in the human body, number of sacrifice. And with regards to sacrifice, the phrase human sacrifice equals 130. This happened to Hawaii 130 years after 1893. 130 years later. Human sacrifice, most simple cipher, 130. Washington in that cipher is 130. You know, now Biden's out here from Washington, the capital, The Pentagon military head on the 38th parallel. Death, murder, killing, RIP, all 38 like fire and even Pentagon. Moana released on the day, leaving 38 days left in the year. Maui got soaked on March 8th, which was 29 weeks before August 8th when the fire happened. You see how fire's got the 29 and 38. But, yeah, 130 years later. Might want to look into what a burnt offering is. It's funny how all these things travel along the same roads. But yeah, fire makes light too, so it kind of fits in with the Illuminati thing. Kind of also part of the Illuminati joke. And then, of course, they've been saying it was caused by the blowtorch winds, which I've never heard in my life until the 1,127s coded into this thing. You see how blowtorch is 127 and 46? So is ground zero. And the governor called the site ground zero and compared it to 9/11. And ground zero is also 62, like right after Obama's 62nd birthday and on Kanye's 62nd day of his age. And the mayor born in 62. And then the same thing happens out here in Spokane, Washington, where they started researching all this really crazy energy stuff. She's born on 127, and they're blaming the Gray Fire that did the same thing to areas of Spokane that just happened to Maui. And the governor, or the mayor of Spokane, who's saying it's the Gray Fire, her name's Woodward. She's also born in 62. And then there's that book that just came out, Fire and Fury, right, about the burning up of Maui, and they're saying it's just a coincidence in the media. They're saying conspiracy theorists are saying it's something more than a coincidence. Well, I don't know. Fire and Fury, 127, 64 like Maui, 62 like right after Obama, 170, sacrifice, 170 and 62, Torah, 62, Genesis 46 about sacrifice in the Torah, 73 books in the Catholic Bible. 170 is a lot like 17 and 71, which are numbers of God, and these people are playing God. But yeah, here's the final piece for just how Jesuit it gets. Notice how when I write out Isus Hominum Salvator, the Jesuit motto for Jesus, Savior, and Man, it's 274 forwards. It's 266 in reverse. Notice both those things, because the Roman Catholic Church has celebrated the sun in the sky's birthday on 12/25 since 274 AD. Okay? Isus Hominum Salvator, 274 forwards. Biden was in Hawaii 274 days after his birthday. Okay? And we're saying how Jesuit this whole thing is, right? It's talking about the same stuff for years. Trying to perfect this book on 201 and how they're destroying the world with all these agendas, pandemics, weather warfare for climate change, racial division, like the massive 201 rituals with George Floyd and January 6th and how they're connected together and compared to each other. I mean, go look at all the comparisons drawn between Black Lives Matter protests and January 6th protests and police present this versus that. Again, they're doing all this stuff to divide the different segments of culture. Who see it more the Black Lives Matter perspective. Who see it more the Trump January 6th perspective. They're trying to create groups and division and recreate a civil war. Again, Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. Now we're looking back at Hawaii's history of its civil war before America took over. Again, Trump's doing all this stuff right now in the Confederate States with 201. He's at the hotel address 201 right before the racial brawl in Montgomery, the old capital of the Confederates. By the way, Confederates 201. Again, then he's doing the ritual with Atlanta on the day of the Atlanta Yankees symbolic game that just couldn't have been any more symbolic as Atlanta then smashes the Yankees, Trump's team, 11-3. And we're talking about the election that was on 11-3. In a nation that was established on the day, leaving 113 days left in the year. Committee of 13 is also 113 like United States. Like Scottish, and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry has its headquarters in D.C. The Masonic City is why it's called that. And the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry was created by the Jesuit order. But anyway, 274, 266. Again, we're in the time of the 266th Pope, Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. And when he spoke in D.C., the Jesuit stronghold, he spoke there September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. The same year that Beau Biden died, while then Biden was vice president. And you know what? I don't think I've ever really looked at that distance. Here, just to show you about Beau Biden, who died at 46. And by the way, again, the inauguration of Joe as number 46 by the Jesuit priest with the 201 name. January 20th or 20/1 inauguration day is the 201st day of the nation's age each year. If you measure from July 4th, the start of the nation's age, to January 20th, that's the 201st day of the nation's age. But okay, May 30th, again, that's the 150th day of the year that Beau Biden died in 2015. The Pope was in D.C. September 23rd. Let's get that. Pope, September 23rd, 2015. He spoke at the White House that day. 23/9 is like 239, the 52nd prime. Pope 52, 52-week calendar, 52 cards in the deck. But the welcoming ceremony, September 23rd, 2015 for the Holy Father. I don't remember if I ever covered... I just want to make sure I got the math right here. I don't remember if I ever covered this before. 116 days earlier, and just think about this, you guys. The sitting president at the time was Barack Hussein Obama. Again, he's got the 116 connection. African-American 116, just like how the Dodgers won the 116th World Series in the Jackie ritual on the anniversary of Jackie's funeral. They won it 4-2. And that was after Chadwick Boseman died on the makeshift Jackie Robinson Day and after Kobe died in the big ritual that year. But that was the 116th World Series, clearly paying tribute to Jackie Robinson, where Mookie Betts came over from historically racist Boston on in the big 42 ritual. And, you know, the name Jackson's 116. Deion Sanders just left the historically black college in a big 116 ritual about the same time we were getting Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman as the 116th Supreme Court Justice. And, again, African Americans got the 289. Her name, Ketanji Brown Jackson, equals 71 in the same cipher as African American. And then the 289, her process of taking the bench was 289 days after her birthday as the 116th. So I just want you to think about that in light of Beau Biden. And again, Joe and Barack. There's another thing with 116 and Ad Marum Dei Gloriam is also 116, the Jesuit motto, for the greater glory of God. And I feel like I'm missing something with Joe Biden in 116 that's there. I feel like I'm missing something if somebody wants to take it further. I feel like there's a Joe Biden 116 connection I'm overlooking. Remember, January 16th is also the date in a lot of history books that Committee of 13, they declared the throne absent January 15, and then like the attack, depending on what source you read, is either January 16th or January 17th, which is 116. And again, we were looking at the Polynesia connection with that. Again, we've connected a lot of dots, but there are still more dots to connect. But again, it's like, how many dots do you need to connect before you convince the person of the point? The point isn't to connect every last dot. The point is to say, okay, you guys, the nation's been hijacked. It was hijacked a long time ago. The first Supreme Court Justice of the U.S., back then it was just one. It was Chief Justice John Jay, 201, okay? Also 84. It's 201 and 105 like Order of Illuminati, 201 and 84 like the Jesuit Order, 84 like United States of America. There's something to the 312, and March 12th being the 71st day of the year, big Catholic number. Pope Francis, his suite. You see how Pope Francis' birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, is 201 and 312, and his suite 201, it's in the building called the Domus Sanctae Martae, which is also 201 and 312. And before it was the Domus Sanctae Martae, it was a hospital named after a pope who died on the 201st day of the year, Pope Leo, which reminds that this whole thing is going down in the time of Leo, the lion, the sun. Leo's 32, like the 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo, like the Dodgers breaking the 32-year drought over the Rays and doing it on Jackie Robinson's birthday in the Jackie sacrifice ritual, winning at 4-2 when Jackie's 42, like Jesuit, like Georgetown, the nation's first Jesuit university. Anyway. And just to find out that George Washington is painted on the ceiling of the Capitol building like he's Jesus, because George Washington equals Jesus Christ, and there's an empty tomb for George Washington beneath the building. He was favorable to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church with its authority, making people gods like Messi the Messiah, staying in Suite 201 for the World Cup, separate from the team. Yeah, look into that story, because they showed Messi at the doorway in room 201, separate from the team, and you can see that in the background there's some hairy legs on the bed that's behind him. So it's like, okay, what are they trying to tell you with that story? Messi's got his own room separate from the team, and there's another man in his bed looking from those legs. I don't even think like the most German chick could get that hairy. So, Caitlyn Jenner 201, who's got your household divided. The Jesuits, the divide and conquer gang, you think they done it? Look at the black and white. Look at the black and white checkerboard floor on The Office with the 201 episodes. International Chess Day on the 201st day of the year. The Office was a mockumentary. Joe Biden, that's the best the Democratic Party could do. The guy who plays the character Senile Joe. For all you guys who think he's really senile, you guys aren't as awake as you think. That's part of the joke. These Jesuits know how to clown. George W. Bush wasn't as dumb as he came across as. You know? 16 pieces. The Jesuits since the 16th century, the takeover. You know? Kings and queens. Last year, the queen died 201 days after her COVID diagnosis. Don't forget how Captain Tom died 201 days after she knighted him, and he died from COVID. And he died the day before Burma's government fell in the huge Jesuit ritual, because he was known for the Burma campaign, which equals 56. Like coronavirus, like Maggie Keenan. Remember the first excellent person in the world was Maggie Keenan, and the first man was William Shakespeare? And then 56 days later, Captain Tom dies, who's this huge celebrity in the UK. Supposedly from COVID after getting vaccinated. Like, what? And again, just, oh man, it's crazy how they got it. It's crazy how they got it. This worldwide order. George Floyd to Adama Traore to Michael Brown to MLK killed 201 days before the first major gun control legislation. Where will the mockumentary take us next? Don't forget what I predicted for around June 1st, June 2nd, 2024, right when Biden became president. I said, okay, when he turns age 81, I'm looking around June 1st, June 2nd for the early exit. It could be before that. But the reason I said that is because it's 1,229 days from him taking office, the 201st prime. And those dates have a lot to do with Civil War history, which is a big theme right now. January 6th happened 201 days after the only Confederate statue in D.C. fell, which was caused by the George Floyd riots, which were all about 201, happening on Memorial Day, the anniversary. The Civil War, the Civil War Memorial Day. Memorial Day is about the Civil War, so that the country never fights again. The country gets divided on a Memorial Day killing by George Perry Floyd, which equals 201, which is compared to Adama Traore in Paris, France, the home of the Jesuits. Adama Traore was killed on the 201st day of the year, and George Floyd was killed exactly 201 weeks later. 4 years apart, another biblical theme. Cain and Abel in Genesis 4, this number of death. Again, why Maui burned up 4 days after Obama's birthday. 4-year anniversary of Dora the Explorer. 4 and 16, numbers that make 64. This code is math. Normally I don't do things like that, but there might be something to that. 16th century, those Jesuits, those pieces on the chessboard. And that's what we got to do, you guys. Like, we're born into a game. They make us into pawns on the chessboard, right? They give us the American dream that you can climb the ladder and be the next king or queen. In reality, you can climb in this world. You can do better, but it's hard to climb. There's a lot of obstacles, and it's very difficult. And but you can't climb to be the king or queen in this world right now, not the way it is, not how rigged it is. If you were ever threatening the king or queen, they would kill you. You can be a rook, maybe a knight. Bishop, you might have to be born for that one. Queen and king, definitely not. So, and it's too bad. It's just because the world's so damn controlled, and that's what I've been trying to get people to see. They don't want to see it. Did I finish the point about the Catholic Church celebrating the birthday on 12/25? You see how Roman Catholic Church is 3/20? Remember, George Floyd was killed in the Twin Cities, where one of them, St. Paul. The biggest, most beautiful structures in the Twin Cities are big Catholic structures. I was blown away by these Catholic mega churches they got there when I drove through last year. By the way, you're driving on Interstate 94. But remember George Floyd, they pulled him out of a Mercedes-Benz ML320. Protestant Reformation started in Germany. and against the Catholic Church, but they pulled him out of a Mercedes-Benz ML320 and they killed him in front of Police Cruiser 320. And the Catholic Church has celebrated the son's birthday since 320 AD. Roman Catholic Church is also 193, the 44th prime. The Twin Cities are on the 44th parallel, and the killing officer was 44-year-old Derek Chauvin. And anyway, the son's birthday on 1225 from 274 AD, Jesus' birthday on 1225 since 320 AD, 46 years later, right? 46 years. Catholic 46. Sacrifice 46. Jesus a sacrifice. JFK at age 46. RFK's whose initials is 35 and 46 like Catholic. Again, JFK was the 35th president killed at age 46. Joe Biden's number 46, the second Catholic president, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than Protestant because of the 46 books. And with regards to 71, this year, the 71st anniversary of weather warfare being admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday who served the Catholic Church. Again, Hawaii decimated on the 353rd day of its age, the 71st prime. 145, the day it burned up, August 8th, leaves 145 days left in the year. Old Testament has the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where it rains fire from the sky, which connects to homosexuality, which is what Obama's biggest part of his legacy is, what he did for homosexuals. Again, sick jokes. And that's Torah, right? That's Torah. That's Torah story from the Bible. And Torah's 62 like Obama just became 62. And Kanye, who's biblical. Jesus walks. 62nd day of his age. 808's and Heartbreak album. 808 became the area code on 88 in history. And again, earlier I was saying don't live in fear, but again, be prepared. Is what happened to Maui and Hawaii, is it the beginning of a series of events that are going to get worse? Well, no, we know it's not the beginning. Let me already scratch that. We already know it's not the beginning. We've talked about several strange things that have happened with Hawaii in the last decade. And the one that stood out the most in my mind before the fire was March 8th, 2021. Dating mirror in 8/3, like the biblical flood, ends in Genesis 8:3, and it lasts 150 days, bringing us back to Illuminati 150. Remember when Alec Baldwin smoked the Ukrainian woman on the set of Rust in the church shootout scene, and they said he killed her at 1:50 in the afternoon, 201 days after his birthday, which happens to be the day in history that Bruce Lee's son was buried, Brandon Lee, after being killed on the set of The Crow, like what happens in the film Game of Death, where his father starred. And by the way, Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year while filming Game of Death. If you have never seen Bruce Lee's Game of Death, watch that, and then look at how Brandon Lee died. Now they're buried next to each other up near the Jesuit University Seattle U, which was doing some crazy stuff in the time of the George Floyd 201 ritual. But yeah, it was 52 date numerology the day it flooded, March 8th, 2021, 3 plus 8 plus 20 plus 21, 52. Huge flood number. The first act of weather warfare in 52 admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday was flooding. But flood 52, next year The Rock on May 2nd turns 52. On May 2nd, 5/2, he turns 52. 52, big number. All of this goes back to the Pope, which equals 52. Pope's 52, like devil. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I don't normally burp in the mic, but all of a sudden I was like, what is going on? I ate this morning. I didn't even eat anything. Must have been too much tea. Anyway. Enlil's the Babylonian god of flooding. Enlil 52. And Earth's also 52, and it's a reshuffling of heart, right? And all these terrible stories, we live because of our hearts, we live because of the earth, right? There's a reason for this. These things go together. The biblical story that we're made from dirt, and, Eve's made from Adam's rib. Hold on. Anyway, I think I've made the point of what's going on. But yeah, The Rock does turn 52 next year. We know how synced up this is with him, and again, just to remind about that: Ground Zero 127, Polynesia 127, Rocky Maivia, his original entertainment name 127, the Dora woman If you missed my video on the Dora woman with the miracle house that survived, her last name, what's her last name? It's like Milliken with a weird spelling. Yeah, it's Milliken, 127. Dora Milliken is 127. It's also 64. So 80, like Bavarian Illuminati, like how old Biden is. Again, the woman who paints power lines, whose homes survive when they're blaming it on power lines. Dora Atwater Milliken, also 127. Her full name, her two-part name, her last name are all 127. And again, The Rock announcing the latest Moana film, 127 days. Josh Green at the United Nations on 12/7. Fire and Fury, the book that just came out about Maui burning, as it burns, as it turns 64, that the media tells you is just a coincidence, 120. I'm forgetting other things. There's even more. Somebody told me Roman Reigns, who's the cousin of The Rock, just won a big event, and I think the guy he beats name equals 127 or something like that. I go back and look at the message he sent. But again, we've been educated for a long time. And last year we were in New York City for the anniversary of September 11th, teaching about the significance of buildings 1, 2, and 7 in the new Pearl Harbor when Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th. Again, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which was created by the Jesuit Order, 127. Bavarian Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, 127. Plans to infiltrate pretty much all things for world control. And the funny thing is, the way it goes down in the history book, though, is that the control was meant to separate the world from the Catholic Church, which was trying to have control. Again, he was Jesuit trained, but he resented the Catholic Church. And that's the story. That's also part of the story. He was a Jewish man, Jesuit trained, Adam Weishaupt. And, I got to make the point. Adam Weishaupt, 51. Conspiracy, 51. Federal, 51. Rome, 51. DC used to be Rome on the Potomac. Hawaii, 51. This happens while The Rock's 51. Directed energy weapon. Again, a real thing. 99, like the United States of America named on 9/9 in the Illuminati ritual. And Maui burned up on The Rock's 99th day of his age. Yeah, again, I'm making the point about the numbers, the language, 51 in conspiracy. I mean, Area 51, the media is screaming to you. Let's close out with that point about conspiracy, because the media, I feel like in this story, more than I've seen maybe since like Sandy Hook. On Sandy Hook, the media really was talking about all the conspiracy theorists online questioning Sandy Hook in the aftermath and really demonizing and calling for censorship, which did come. And right now, the media is doing the same thing about, people putting out all this irresponsible conspiracy theory stuff about Maui, how disrespectful it is. A lot of people are dead. They don't need this conspiracy trash. It's bad information. It's false. It's not true. It's Looney Tunes. People coming on CNN and saying shame on social media for allowing information like this to become viral on the internet. And it's like, oh my God, it's 2023. We're like super deep. We're over a decade into the censorship of topics. It started in 2012 with online just deleting so much content, questioning, was there a link between the MMR second shot for children, infants, and autism? There was a lot of parents and individual videos and people telling their own story. And again, I just want to make the point that I used to manage an autistic children's home, and parents who were still in contact with their children that were in that system, in that home, several of them had the same story about how their child was totally normal, and then after the shots, all of a sudden around age 2 they became like a different person, unresponsive, seeming like just totally different. So many people had this story. This story used to be all over online. It used to be all over online, and then it all just got flushed down the tube in 2012. And then that's what prompted me to action. Like, God, I better figure out something more in this world while we can still speak out, so I have something worth sharing to further the game. And it was shortly after that I found this Gematria thing, and I've been pressing forward in the time we can to stop this agenda. Like I said, when I was 18 years old when 9/11 happened, I knew I was lied to. I knew some kind of technology was used to wipe out those people for an agenda. And I thought, how many more times will this happen in my lifetime? If this isn't stopped now, if this lie isn't going to called out, where's it going to happen next? And there's been a lot of next. Maui isn't next. Maui's just part of the series now. It might be one of the worst, though. I mean, this seems super evil. It's a lot of people that were just blowtorched win. New terminology for the 127. But, and look how many days they like kept the death toll at 111 and all these symbolic numbers. 137 islands, the 33rd prime. The thing we talked about with Clinton writing the letter, the apology, 23 years to the day of Moana coming out, only for Maui to burn up in the year 23. Kind of like the Illuminati and then America 2 months and 3 days later. It's like using Jim Carrey to mock the Illuminati when he's in the movie number 23 teaching about gematria, and he's in Batman playing the Riddler where he drops gematria riddles. If you go back and watch. And funny enough, you know, Jim Carrey's got that name gematria, 48 like Illuminati, 141 like Adam Weishaupt. Again, Batman goes back to Skull and Bones, goes back to Illuminati. If you don't know about Batman, his grandfather created Skull and Bones, was part of the Illuminati network. That's why Paul Walker, that movie came out 201 days after his birthday, The Skulls, where he gets the red Porsche only to die in an Illuminati ritual. 5 years to the day of George Herbert Walker Bush dying. Paul Walker, George Herbert Walker, but died in the red Porsche in the ritual. 11 plus 30, 41 like Skull and Bones, like Papa Bush, who died 5 years later, was number 41. Again, born on the day, leaving 202 days left in the year. His son's born on 7/6. The Georgia Guidestones about world depopulation come down on the 76th birthday of George W. Bush, 7/6, when Skull and Bones is Order 322, and they were put up on 322 March 22nd. But they came down on the Pope's 202nd day of his age, or 201 days after his birthday. Georgia, the fourth state. Trump's fourth indictment in the fourth state. In MLK's town, the man killed on 4/4. Again, all these things that they're doing to us, you guys, they're not going to a good place. They're all things related to death. And, you know, but before your town becomes the next blowtorch wins, because it could, it's unlikely, yes. I mean, they do these things on a patient scale. And somebody might say, well, it sounds like only 1,000 people are dead. Only 1,000 people? That's a lot of people. But yeah, 1,000 out of a world of hundreds of millions is not. But they do these things. Pakistan, man, that nation where they found Osama. Man, Pakistan been getting wasted ever since they found Osama there. Have you seen all the stuff going on in Pakistan, which is like crazy flooding and earthquakes? Again, there's places that are getting it worse than Maui. And that's why we also need to speak up. And that's what I've been saying this whole time, you guys. It's not just about your country. It's about this Illuminati cabal, all the shit they're doing worldwide. Remember what they did to the biblical Philadelphia with the massive earthquake in the time of the Grammys as, you know, the guy who, you know, I mean, the guy who lays in bed with people with hairy legs. You know what I mean? What's that guy's name? Sam Smith? You know, he's doing like the major tribute to Satan song with a transgender person. And then Philadelphia, which is home of the, you know, Philadelphia in the Bible gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan. For the record, again, the synagogue of Satan 223, just like Philadelphia, and just like natural disaster, and just like Committee of 13, you know. And 223 is the 48th prime, like Illuminati's 48th. Like that rapper who just lost his third brother at age 33 with the 4/8 birthday, who put out the Illuminati album. I still got to do that video on what happened to the father of the woman who scored the winning World Cup goal for Spain. Remember the Women's World Cup started on the 201st day of the year, and the hosting country, New Zealand, had the mass shooting that day. Women's World Cup's got 3 of the same values as the Jesuit order. Ends with a big Illuminati ritual at the sacrifice of the star's father, synced up with the Pope like the Men's World Cup was. Like how Argentina was settled by Spain. Spain wins the women's. And it just goes with Messi being in hotel room 201. Messi the Messiah. It's all biblical, right? But yeah, I'm going to cover that and the sacrifice of the brothers. 4 years apart. Like Genesis 4, Cain and Abel with black youngster. When the oldest Jew in the Old Testament is black, Methuselah. So there's a reason they keep using black men for the biblical rituals more often than not. But also, thank you, the Jubilees Project, for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And thank you to Truth Vibration Podcast, who's just so generous. Neela Biden died 144 days after her July 28th birthday. That's Biden's old wife, who died in the 201 ritual. The Jesuit orders 201 and Jesuit orders alone is 144, just like President Biden. And remember, they simulated at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12th, 2020, 144 days before the election, that Biden would win and Trump would refuse to step down and it would lead to deadly violence in America. Again, it was called the Transition Integrity Project. And that's why January 6th came 201 days after the Confederate statue. But yeah, good one. I think we have covered that in the past, but I'd forgotten. That's a good detail. And, you know, I guess from them dying in the fall of 72 to him becoming president-elect, it was 48 years later. Illuminati 48. From the death of the wife and daughter. And in 72, you see how President Biden's 72 forwards, 81 in reverse. Again, Jesuit orders 144 and 72 like his title. 81 like the supposed votes he got. Like how Route 81 goes through his hometown, Scranton. And don't forget when Trump was at the Vatican with the Pope on the 144th day of the year, May 24, 2017, or how the number played its part in the death of his wife. But President Trump's also got the 72, like Jesuit order, like the sun moves 1 degree every 72 years on the astrological wheel. Yeah, the numbers of the cabal. So, very good. But yeah, if you got here late, just one more time, the nugget to take away. 64, or let's just go through it. 13, 64, 201, where all three of those numbers fit in such a major way with this. Again, the Committee of 13 overthrew Hawaii, which began the process of it becoming American, the land of, again, the 13 stripes, 13 colonies, 13 years of public school. USA 41, the 13th prime. Pearl Harbor in 41. But anyhow, 1364-91. Maui burned up 13 days before the state's 64th birthday. Then Joe Biden is there for the 64th birthday 13 days later. And we know Joe Biden sacrificed his whole family, his wife, daughter, son. They've all been sacrificed in 201 ritual, something we've been taught for years, only to realize that Biden was born 201 months before Hawaii. Again, it happened in his lifetime. And again, just the chessboard, 64. The Illuminati, 201. The Illuminati was founded 64 days before the U.S. with 13 families. Order of Illuminati, 201. Joe Biden has the 64 and 201 thing going on here. International Chess Day began in Paris, France on the 201st day of the year. And isn't it funny how we've been making the point the whole time? It's like a chess game. But I didn't realize until just now. I was just trying to put the cherry on top. I'm writing the outline for this Maui book, and I was like, I need like some better chess thing about history. And then I just looked, I was like, oh my God, International Chess Day began on the 201st day of the year in Paris, France. Like, could I find a better thing to emphasize the point I'm making about this code? But 13 is also the 6th prime, like man's made on the 6th day, like there's 6 different pieces on the chessboard. And again, 16 total pieces, like the Jesuits in the 16th century. You could even get into the King Road killing. Yeah, up on 1122 King Road, the news that broke on the king's birthday, because again, when the Great London Fire happened, King Charles was the king back then, and it happened on his 959th day since his coronation, 1959, like the year Hawaii was established. Because again, that Biden thing, the killer lived in apartment 201 on King Road, and he was arrested in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And again, the address of that home where the killing happened of 4 students was at 1122. Like JFK's assassination anniversary, the parallel with JFK killed at age 46 and Biden number 46. And what they just did this year on August 9th. All day we talked about the history of assassinations in 144, only for it to end with an Ecuadorian presidential candidate assassination. And Ecuador was established on the 144th day of the year, 46 years after the U.S. President Biden, 144, Jesuit Order 144, Catholic 46, hymn number 46. I mean, and again, just look at that office cover, the chessboard, 201 episodes. Again, Scranton, Pennsylvania, one of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities is there. You know, the Scottish Rite, too. They came to power in Paris, France. 13. Masonry, the 13 layers of bricks unfinished with the all-seeing eye. Again, where the Pyramid 201 thing fits in, like we talked about. Great Pyramid of Giza 201, 201 remaining layers. But the 13 also with the Society of Jesus. Jesus and the 12 disciples, 13. The moon is Mary, 13-month cycle. The old zodiac, 13 constellations. 13, number of time. Heliocentrism, the model that time's measured with. According to this Catholic calendar. I forgot to say Catholic Pope's 201 as well. The Jesuits serve the Catholic Pope. But yeah, we had it all in here. Why it happened 274 days after Biden's birthday as well. The Jesuit Order 201, their motto is Sus Hominum Salvator 274, which goes with the sun, which goes with light. When light is 201 in the Hebrew code. The Illuminati. Just clowning. The Office was a mockumentary. Joe Biden is a mockumentary. Our history books are a mockumentary. That's the problem, man. People just not questioning the authorities. I used to get in trouble as a kid for always questioning everything, and I'm just so glad that I was just getting in trouble and never changed my ways. Couldn't beat it out of me. These stories don't make any damn sense. What do you mean Christopher Columbus discovered a place where people lived that he called Indians because he thought he was on the wrong continent? Sounds like he was a fucking moron. Why does he go down as the one? We're going to talk about Amerigo Vespucci, too, in light of what they just did with Spain and Argentina. New World Order, rig sports, the Coliseum. But yeah, I'll do that stream later. And again, I hope I made the point clear enough here. Thank you to the new subscriber, the Jubilees Project, and Truth Vibration Podcast. That's another way to pledge $1 a month if you just, if you want to. That's a way to pledge $1 a month. But again, I just wonder sometimes where the funds are going. But anyway, thank you to everyone who does support the work. And right now, I'm trying to smooth over the edges here. I do want to get out to Hawaii. You know another place I actually want to go to right now real bad besides Hawaii? I want to be back in New York. We'll be down in L.A. for, once the Lakers season gets underway with the new book on Kobe's death. But yeah, another place I want to go is Memphis. I'm really getting the sick joke of why the jail there is the 201 and why there so many young black men are dying there in Memphis, including Martin Luther King Jr. in light of this whole Bible thing. Exodus, the Holy Bible, 201, Memphis, Egypt, Exodus, darker complected people, slavery, laws made to put men in cages where they can be exploited as slave labor up to this day and age. I want to go to Memphis. There's a lot to talk about in Memphis, I realize. Man, we'd have to be a whole week in Memphis speaking out on the street. All the things. MLK and all of it. All these rappers, Black Youngsta's third brother at age 33. Cain kills Abel in Genesis 4:8. He's born on 4:8 like Illuminati, like his album. He's got that 223 album. We were talking about 223 in this. Memphis is a dangerous city. Well, a lot of places are dangerous. But, again, to me that makes it all the more reason to go there and speak the information. Is there more risk with more danger? I suppose. But at the same time, man, the information getting into people's eardrums might change their ways. They might actually think about something. Is a game being played with my life? Am I on this path now where I'm doing these things that make me a danger to society because somebody's manipulating my neighborhood? We can go back. We can go down there, right down to Memphis right now and tell people to look up the They Cloned Tyrone when they find out the secret lab button to get. Again, if you haven't seen They Cloned Tyrone, there's a lab under the hood, and the secret access to the lab is under the church. And in the lab, they're figuring out how to manipulate the black community with food, drink, music. And again, what's amazing about it being under the church is they find the secret button to open the lab. The secret button is under the IHS, which again began as the Jesuit motto, Sus Hominum Salvator, which equals 274, like Biden and Hawaii 274 days after his birthday. And then remember, Jesus Hominum Salvator is also 85, and Jamie Foxx was in trouble on 8/5 for writing "They Killed Jesus." There were headlines about him being anti-Semitic for saying "They killed Jesus," and just that's all he wrote. "They killed Jesus." So it's like, wait a minute, you're taking a leap of faith that he's blaming Jewish people. He could have meant Romans. He could have meant anything, really. But those were headlines on 8/5, right after They Cloned Tyrone came out. The 217th day of the year that happened on, right after the movie came out on 21/7. They go to Memphis at the end of They Clone Tyrone. I honestly have not finished the movie yet. I have not finished the movie. I've just been too damn busy. They go to Memphis. I got to finish the movie now that they go to Memphis. Wow. Thank you. We got to go to Memphis. It's central, and yeah, I just think with MLK's sister dying recently at 95 and MLK being assassinated on the 95th day of the year, again, he assumed the name Martin Luther, who wrote the 95 Theses against the Catholic Church. I mean, again, 201 days after his assassination was the first major gun control legislation. I have a feeling as they're pushing for this huge new gun reform bill, we're going to see some kind of history repeat itself in Memphis. And of course, you did just have young Dolph die in major gun violence as well after he put out the tweet with the Illuminati symbolism on the 201st day of the year that year, July 20th. You know, the day that's International Chess Day. International Chess Day. Young Dolph's tweet about how you got to make sacrifices to make money for your family, only to die by the numbers not long after. And there have been a lot of hip-hop 201 deaths. Eazy-E, Lethal Injection album, dead 201 days after his birthday. All right, but yeah, I think I overdid it again. It's just whenever I'm in this writing mode and I'm writing this stuff down, every time I do a video, I just want to hash it all out and make sure. It's like I'm practicing for the future of presenting the work. Got to make sure it's all stuck in my head. That's how you get things to stick in your head. You just keep being repetitive. Like back when people could actually do math in America, it was because in school, which at one point or another was a little bit better than it is now, they actually had you repeat doing several math problems so you got it down. Now math's all confusing and you learn this for 2 minutes and then you learn this totally different math concept for another 2 minutes. It's like, who designed this curriculum? Someone who wanted a nation of people who don't know anything about anything because they never mastered nothing. They just got overwhelmed, and it's all by design, you guys. That's why everyone thinks it's a conspiracy theory, weather warfare, when it's been admitted to for before long it'll be 100 years. But yeah, that is it for now. I will be back later. There's still more videos I got to do. Of course, tomorrow's already Wednesday, and we'll be doing TFR. And again, thank you to everyone who supports the work. Until next time.